Hello everyone, welcome back to Kirklees Guitar School. In today's riff lesson, I'm going to teach you the main riff for Roadhouse Blues by The Doors. It's an ace riff, let's have a look at it. So, where are we? There we go. So, at time of recording, December 2025, this is part of my Riffmas series, which is a competition that I run on my private Facebook group every year. Give you a chance to submit some entries of you playing some riffs that I teach and win some prizes. We've got 3 prizes up for grabs this year, including the Enya, I think it's called the Nova Go travel guitar. It's a carbon fibre one-piece travel guitar. It's a really cool little guitar that's up for grabs. That's the main prize for the competition. Also, the runners-up will receive one of 2 prizes, which includes a TC Electronic Mojo overdrive pedal. This is my favourite overdrive pedal I tried this year, so that's why I decided to get that one. And another runner-up prize is the TC Electronic Ditto Looper. Each one of the 3 prize winners in this competition will also receive a Kirklees Guitar School t-shirt in their size as well. If you want to learn a little bit more about that and potentially how to enter, head to the first link in the description, and in the description box I'll put a little bit more on how you can enter that. Secondly, if you'd like the free tab that goes with this lesson, you can download it for free from the second link in the description. That'll take you to my website, which is, there's no sign-ups, no monkey business. You don't have to give me an email address. You don't have to do anything. You literally just go on the webpage and click download PDF. And it's really going to help you. We've got some triplets and some kind of extra little bits of rhythm stuff to kind of navigate here. Definitely worth your time going and grabbing that if you are able to. Right, so the PDF, should you choose to download it, will look like this. It's 4 bars of music, and what I've decided to do is I've decided to do a slightly easier version in the first 2 bars, and then I've given you something a little bit more difficult to include the rest, like Robby Krieger's playing it on the recording. It's entirely up to you which way you want to go. Obviously, I'm going to start with the easier version and get it under your fingers, but regardless of which version you pick, either of these 2 riffs make you eligible to enter the competition. Okay? So let's have a look at this first one then. So this is what we call a swung rhythm. And what that means is we're going to play these, although you've got 6 open low E strings played in quavers, it's almost a little bit heavy on one side. Let me show you what I mean. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that these are listed as quavers, but if I played it as 1 and 2 and 3 and... It's really hard not to play it swung. You almost want to imagine that these notes here, can you see how I've split it up into groups of 2. Now, these are called quavers. So each one of these that share that little kind of like bridge that connects the 2. So these 2 here, these 2 here, these 2 here. Those are what we call the downbeat. That's beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. And then beat 4, we've got a triplet, but we'll talk about this dude in a bit, okay? Let me draw your attention to these first 2 notes. Now, these last for half a beat each, but because it's a swung rhythm, it's kind of almost a bit heavy on one side. That's the best way I can describe a swung rhythm. You almost want a bit of a spring in your step and almost a bit lazy kind of in feeling. We've done quite a lot of swung lessons on the channel recently. And I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a really cool feel and sound. But I almost want you to imagine that if we just isolate these two notes here, I want you to almost imagine that this very first one is ever so slightly longer in duration than the second one. But what we do is we borrow a little bit from his mate over here in the second note of the phrase and tag it onto here. And I mean, we're talking nanoseconds. It's next to nothing. But it almost gives it that little bit of a lazy kind of heavy on one side feeling. Let me play you. I'm going to play it all 6 zeros. I'm going to play it straight to begin with, and then I'm going to play it swung secondly. So straight sounds like this. It doesn't sound like Roadhouse Blues at all, does it? Whereas if I go straight, swung, I'm almost like rushing to getting back to the downstroke, and I'm playing each of these down, up, down, up, down, up. Once we get to this point here, we're gonna play the 5th, 6th, and 7th fret of the low E string, but I'm gonna play it in what's called a triplet. Can you see the little bracket underneath that sort of connects all 3 notes and the little number 3? What that means is we're going to try and cram 3 notes into a gap where only 2 notes should occupy, and it gives you this really cool kind of Gives you this really cool sound that a lot of bands in the 60s did it, and the Doors were no exception. So what I'd like you to do, all these notes are hammered on as well. So what that means is we're not going to pick 5, 6, 7. I'm going to pick number 5 with a downstroke. I'm then going to hammer on with the middle finger to the 6th fret. I'm then going to hammer on to the 7th fret with the ring finger. But notice how my plectrum, I'm only picking it once. And notice how when I hammer these notes, can you see how I'm trying to keep my fingers on the fretboard? At that point, after I've played it, I've got 3 points of contact with the fretboard. What that does is it ensures that I keep the ball in the air and it doesn't... we don't lose any sound because I'm only picking the first note, and actually by bashing those a little bit more aggressively, we'll sort of keep the ball in the air and keep the sustain of the notes. That's what I mean by keeping the ball in the air. I want you to keep the mojo and keep the memento. All the notes need to be of a similar kind of volume. So far we've got this here. Pause the video and get that first bar under your fingers. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that the second bar is more or less identical, apart from we're going to move this hammer from here on the E string down to the A string. Sorry, on the A string, but just the hammer. You see, the only thing that changes is these 3 notes. We just kick it up a string, and that gives you the... And I'm doing strict down and up picking throughout for this, okay? So that's the easy version. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. If you feel like you got enough on your plate there, by all means, be my guest, and that'll do us a great entry. If you're listening to that and you're like, it's missing a little bit of something, I'll tell you what it's missing, and it's missing rests, which are these here, these funny looking semi-quaver rests. Now what that means is, every once in a while, you're going to kill the note. Instead of playing it normally like this, I'm going to play it like this. Now watch my thumb. Every time there's a rest, I'm putting my thumb on the low E string to stop it from ringing out. Now you can hear the reverb from my amp, and we're going to talk about tones in a second. Now you can either do it with the side of your thumb to stop the string from ringing out, or you can just touch the string with the plectrum, and that'll suffice as well. Now, I know he's doing that at least in the intro. I don't know whether he's doing it for the full song, but I can hear that. Can you hear how it's a little bit more kind of like cut and dry? It's a little bit slicker sounding, and this is how I play it, by just putting a rest after the first beat. I'm then going to play 2 more zeros and put another rest in, put 2 more zeros in and put another rest in. I'm then going to play the last one, followed by the triplet run. And the second bar's no exception. So if you feel up to the challenge, I would definitely put some of those rests in. It's not compulsory, but it just adds that extra kind of 10% to the riff that I think really makes it sound awesome. Tones-wise, I'm using the Gibson SG today. Robby Krieger was a really, really big influence early on for me. I absolutely love the Doors. I hadn't listened to them for a while. I should probably go back to listen to some of those albums, particularly LA Woman. Is an excellent album, and the sort of more blues-focused stuff that they did, I'm really, really into. So I'm using a Gibson SG, predominantly on the neck pickup, and I'm using a Boss Katana Gen 2, which I'll put the settings on screen for you now. Nothing to write home about too much. All I'd say is just watch your gain. It's more attitude and power as opposed to using loads and loads of distortion. Use plenty of reverb, it'll sound good for it, and plenty of treble as well. I don't actually know what amps Robby Krieger used back in the day, but he wasn't known for being an overly distorted guitar player. I think it was more valve amps turned up quite loud than they were just naturally a little bit crispy in sound. I don't feel like it was particularly a gainy sound that he was after. What did you think of today's lesson? The doors are something a little bit different, but I do really enjoy. I've really enjoyed looking at this riff. Let me know if you'd like me to do a full deep dive on this lesson, and I will see what I can do. I'll see you in a couple of days for the next instalment of Riffmas. Thank you very much for watching.